Let's talk about remdesivir. So, remdesivir is a drug that was developed by the company Gilead in 2020 during the emergency authorization period of the FDA, where they approved drugs, out of hand essentially. And Gilead was allowed to make this therapeutic and use it starting from October of 2020, I believe. Now, this drug was supposed to help curb the infection rate and also to help with recovery time with COVID pneumonia. Essentially, they said, your time of recovery will be shorter and, the infection won't spread as far, won't cause as much extensive damage. And so this became part of the protocol in almost all hospitals across the country, if not all hospitals. And so nobody really questioned this until fairly recently, the last couple of years, and there started to be some studies coming out about remdesivir. So the first study that came out was a small study that basically said, hey, this doesn't really seem to do much in terms of, shortening the recovery period for COVID. It seems to maybe take it from moderate to a short time for recovery, but if someone is in, critical condition, doesn't seem to do all that much. The second study said, well, this definitely doesn't curb the infection rate or the severity of the infection. So that part of the claim is false. And, as an aside, Gilead was putting out the ads, remdesivir saves lives, remdesivir, that was how it was marketed. Well, the third study done by the World Health Organization, I think in 2022, found that remdesivir actually did nothing to shorten recovery times or to curb the extensiveness of the infection itself. In essence, when it comes to COVID-19, remdesivir does not really do anything. But remdesivir is still in the therapeutic panel that's being used in hospitals today. There's a lawsuit against Gilead, a class action lawsuit filed in Shasta County, California, in 2023, toward the end of the year. I think it was September or October, where essentially the prior patients are suing Gilead for multi-organ and multi-systems failure, particularly kidney failure is very, very common with this. So is there really any evidence to back this up? Well, yeah, and I'll put a link in the description for an article that kind of details the lawsuit and the studies that were used to find all this information. But the link between liver toxicity and remdesivir is not rock solid. There seems to be a correlation, but the link between kidney failure and use of remdesivir is very, 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 very evident. So I was talking to a friend who's an ER nurse and a hospitalist in the hospital I work at. And they're two different people. Sorry, that sounded like it was the same person. So there was a nurse and then there was a hospitalist. The hospitalist is an MD, a medical doctor. And we were talking about dosages that people are given with this. So, they found that after 2 doses of remdesivir, you've got a 25% chance of multi-systems failure or kidney failure. Do you know how many the therapeutic doses considered on a normal COVID protocol? Guess how many? 9. 9 doses before that therapy is considered complete. 9 doses. Gilead is raking in this money at the expense of killing people. And what's crazy is every single one of these people that died from multi-organ failure from remdesivir was marked as a COVID death. And hospitals were getting subsidized by the federal government for COVID deaths, essentially, paying the costs. So essentially, if you died in a car accident but you tested positive for COVID, you were considered a COVID death because they were getting that little check. So remdesivir essentially was being used and continued to be used and continues to be used in hospitals across the country, even though there's this lawsuit out about it, even though the study from the World Health Organization has shown that it's not effective in doing what it's said to do. And like I said, I'll put a link in the description that details the lawsuit and talks about the studies, and there's links to the studies in there. So go ahead and check that out. But if you aren't pissed off by this, then something's wrong with you. This is one of many pieces of evidence that just makes it so obvious that much of the response to COVID-19, I'm not saying that COVID-19 isn't serious, don't take it there, because I see people die from COVID-19 fairly regularly, but much of the response was a cash grab by the pharmaceutical industry, and it's just evil. I'll see you guys next time. Still really pissed off about this. Let me know what you think in the comments. Subscribe if you're not subscribed.